Here we are, Swisherr West End, and the third of the trio. We've got Stewie, we've got Nashy, and now we've got DB. DB, it's finally come to fruition.
It's been a huge year, and I look back on it and think, we only just opened our first shot lab, a little around this time last year. It feels like it's gone in the blink of an eye, but it also feels like we've just worked really, really hard, and it's been a very long, hard year to get to this point. But it's really satisfying, as it was when we opened our first shot lab, to know that people wanted to use it and were prepared to, buy a membership. It's really satisfying just in the first few days of opening here that it's pretty clear there's a lot of demand and a lot of people are going to want to use this space, so we're really excited.
Obviously 12 months ago we started with a squash court. You could barely fit a three-point line in. You had crowds in there, whether we were socially distancing, but you had crowds in the squash court. All of a sudden, 12 months later, you're in a warehouse in a facility certainly unprecedented in Tassie, almost unprecedented in the country. How good does that feel to see that 12-month growth expand to an unprecedented facility nationwide?
Yeah, look, it's great. And look, I've been involved over the last decade in a number of startup tech companies, and it's always really challenging before you're profitable and before you're just trying to build the product and get it out the door. This one has come together remarkably well and really is not unlike a startup tech company where you're just trying to put the products together, pieces together, the technology to run it, all of that sort of stuff. And so to get to actually launch out into the market is very satisfying. To get the opportunity to work in a space like this is extraordinary. In the CBD of a capital city is almost impossible. And we've got to pay due respect and say thanks to the University of Tasmania, Vice-Chancellor and a whole range of other people we've worked with there, because they've really understood our vision and what we're trying to achieve. And a large part of what we're trying to achieve, apart from having the joy of basketball and fun, is to create pathways for young Tasmanians through basketball, passionate about their basketball, but what else are they going to do in their life? Whether that's further education, whether that's part-time casual work. We've got about a staff of 25 here already that we're just rostering on so we can give them work experience. And of course, opportunity to find work through your passion of sport. I think sport is such an important pathway for some young people to find their other passions in life. Maybe 1 out of 100 kids in here that comes into this place is going to be a professional athlete, if you're lucky. Well, the other 99 can follow their passion, and that's what we're all about.
Obviously, massive weekend just gone, 3 days of absolute hoopla, hundreds of people through the building. You also had the 24-hour shootathon with the Revs and the Spartans, raising great money there for Ronald McDonald House. Massive trial and error period. What have been the massive positives you found out of getting large groups in and getting the facility used? But what are the things that you can certainly improve on, knowing how well this space has now been used? Yeah,
and you're right, JB. There is just a huge amount for us to learn. You think, it's just a basketball centre, we'll rent some courts, it'll all be fine. But actually, there's a lot of complexity in this business. We want to rent courts and we want to make them more accessible to uni students, to high school, college students, primary students, to families. We want to make them really accessible, and that's one of the challenges I think with basketball courts around Tasmania, is it's just hard for kids to get into them. So book online, come in the door, walk in, pay $5 at the door and you can shoot sort of stuff is what we want to do. But we also want to run our own programs. So we've launched a Swisherr Junior program. We're going to launch a Rep Ready and an Elite Shooting program. And we also have this concept of Swisherr Signature Series, we're calling it. And we'll be announcing the first one of those. And they will be national, if not international, standard players coming down and coaches coming down here to give the Tasmanian community a look at some of that. So we're going to see over the summer some very high-profile former Devils players here and some Olympians here working with young people in Tasmania. So we hope we can bring those sorts of opportunities. I do want to go back to the shootathon. It was just such a magnificently organised event by Aaron and Simon and Kate and Rocket, of course, at GBA. They just did such a good job. It really inspired us to think bigger about what we can do in this space for the community and how we can bring the whole basketball community together. You know, we like to think of ourselves as Switzerland. Swisherr is the Switzerland of the Tasmanian basketball scene. Everybody's welcome here. We're neutral. We want to see every club banner hanging in our rafters and on our floors so that every kid who comes here goes, oh, I recognise, my Grenadiers banner or my Kings banner or, whatever the club they happen to pay for.
On a personal level, from my understanding, you started your Chargers journey as a president in late 2016, saw it through from mass debt to championship success through to where the club is now. You coached your son, obviously played, as a junior yourself. Having spoken to Stewie and spoken to Nashy, this is something that they couldn't have even dreamed of as a kid. How's it feel to, be involved in that now and not only bring, say, your dreams forward, but even the dreams of young hoopers? How does that personally reflect and feel for you?
You'll make me tear up, JB.
That's the aim, David.
Look, my passion for basketball's always been there my whole life. I've loved it since I stepped on the first court in grade 4. Roger Boucher, that's Callum and Lockie's granddad, Scott's father, was my first coach. Just loved the sport ever since. And everybody who knows me knows that. I had the great good fortune of seeing Stewie and Nashy run out on court when I was a Devils season ticket holder for the first time ever with those guys. Then I've had the great pleasure later in life to get to know them a bit and, a lot, and work really closely with them. And I think the secret sauce of Swisherr really is the massively complementary skills the three of us have. We're actually very different individuals, and we bring very different experience and skills. But it's the kind of jigsaw puzzle of putting those skills together that is making Swisherr really work for us. And it's a great pleasure to be working with those two blokes. They're just fantastic. I could not have done this anywhere near like we're doing it without them. But I'm really pleased to have made my contribution to the thinking and the branding and the marketing and that sort of stuff. For me, my passion was rekindled in basketball, of course, with the Chargers journey, but also for my own son, who loves his hoops. Now, probably never going to play professionally, but actually the core of what I'm trying to achieve here, or we're trying to achieve here, is really we've learnt a lot from our own sons. All three of us have sons who are passionate basketballs, and Nashy has daughters as well, of course. And we see the world through their eyes. And, I know with my son, loves his hoops, bright boy, really, got lots of other talents. So how do we create pathways for kids like him, of which there are thousands, to succeed in life, to fulfil their potential? And at the core of everything, apart from, with Mark, Stewie and myself, apart from our love of the game, we have a real passion for pathways for young Tasmanians, and that's what we're focused on.
Obviously, massive growth in 12 months. You've gone from a squash court to a warehouse. The question always is...
This warehouse is 100 metres long, just off, and 50 metres wide.
It takes up a city block. Yeah. And the question always is, what's next? You obviously want to really expand within the building, expand the business within the building, grow the sport. But what's next for Swisherr? What's the next step?
I guess the other thing that unites the three partners in this business is our ambition to go further, and realising that we're onto something here that people want, which is great, and that this facility, I think, hopefully will give us the financial kind of cash flow that allow us to go and invest in some other places. Our next step will be to move to the north and the northwest of the state with our shot lab concept, and we're now already scouting out locations. Ideally, we'd like to be there by Christmas, but I'm not, things always take longer than you think they're going to take, unfortunately, but we'll be there soon. Once we've got a network of, 6, 7, 8 shot labs around the state, and this is our central facility, then we'll have the critical mass to start thinking about, right, what's next? And frankly, it's amazing how many people I've had walk into this place in the last few weeks and say, oh, is this a franchise you've bought from the mainland? And we're going, no, this is ours, Tasmanian and proud, and we want to take it to the mainland. We'll see how we go.
Well, it's unbelievable. It is a hoopster's dream, and it can only get bigger and better from there. Again, David, thank you very much for your time.
Hey, JB, and to Ronald, to Chargers TV, to West Coast Basketball Connection, we just love the work you guys do. We want you in here all the time. If we can set up a studio in the corner and run Chargers TV out of here next year, we'll be absolutely thrilled to do it. So thanks for everything.